Hi, my name is Pran. I work at the MBA admissions team at the Red Pen. We're an education consultancy that helps stellar applicants find the right master's program. For example, we have Rohit Roy with us here today. Rohit, first of all, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Ask that you introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name is Rohit Roy. I'm originally from Kerala in India. I was born and brought up abroad. I'm from Abu Dhabi, UAE, and did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering from NIT Trichy. Worked for a few years with Hindustan Petroleum in a project management capacity. After that, worked with a small VC fund based out of Delhi. And then I went on to start my own firm, a cloud kitchen, basically in my hometown of Cochin, Kerala. And so I've been professionally, I've been, I guess, all over the place. And so I was looking for, I guess, business school to sort of cement my position. And yeah, here I am. Yeah.
I guess you already started talking about it. Tell me, why did you apply to business school?
It is like I mentioned in my introduction, it is to sort of find myself, right, where I am. And let me explain a bit. So, since I did my bachelor's in mechanical engineering, I went on to work for Hindustan Petroleum, as I had mentioned. But working in the oil and gas sector, I wasn't very happy about I was happy in terms of what I learned professionally, but I was not really happy in terms of the outcome of the impact, right, that my work created. And so I wanted to move out of oil and gas, and I was really excited about the startup space. And but I just didn't have the risk appetite to start my own firm then, right? And so that is how I started working for a VC fund. And once I started getting comfortable with that, I partnered with a friend of mine and started our own firm, right? But even now, I guess there is a lot of information that or I guess there's a lapse in knowledge, and more than knowledge, I guess mentorship that I really require to take my business to new heights or to the vision that I have, right? And so I think business school really helps me achieve that, and also gives me a lot of opportunities in terms of not just networking, but in terms of putting our product out there, maybe getting the attention of certain investors, and taking our business global as well. So yeah, I think a business school education would help me achieve all of these things.
Yeah, right. I think you're on the right track. For me personally, business school helped me elevate the level of thinking and see the bigger picture. It sounds like you're in the same boat.
Yes, definitely.
No, thank you. So prior to the application process, what prep work did you do? What kinds of research or homework did you do to before you hit that submit button?
Right. So I did not look at, I knew I wanted to apply to business school, but I was someone who believes in a structured approach. And so for me, the way things work is I break down things into very small pieces, and then I attack those pieces, right? I go at them one by one. If I think about okay, I have to get into this business school, and if I don't break down the journey, it becomes very difficult for me. So for me, the first thing was just clearing the GMAT, right? I was okay, I wasn't even sure if I want to go to business school, but I was okay, if I need to do it, this is a big roadblock that I have. So I was okay, let me just focus on GMAT. And so I started breaking down GMAT and putting smaller goals within my GMAT study prep, and prepared for my GMAT, got the score that I want. Right. And then the next thing that I wanted to look is, so till now, I actually did not even have an idea about the schools. Do I want an MBA from the US? Do I want an MBA from Europe? Nothing. I had absolutely no idea. And so it is only after that I actually started researching schools. I started talking to some of my friends who wanted to do an MBA, try to understand why they want to do an MBA, to sort of understand whether it makes sense for me as well. Right. And then it did make a lot of sense for me, because a lot of the challenges that I was facing at that point, I was okay, if I had gone to business school, maybe I could have solved this challenge, or maybe I would have had the right mentors to sort of help me out with these problems. Right. So that is how I started thinking about which business schools to apply to, what are the programs offered by different business schools, right? And obviously, once I made a short list, I guess the next step was finding what is the process in application. So then I looked at the application. So it is all step by step. I had never in one point did I have like like a full comprehensive view, right? Like I did not attack it that way. Like I just went step by step, and I was very relaxed in the process. And so I called a few consultants. I called Redpen as well, and you guys told me about what my like after sharing some of my details with you guys told me about what I can look for if some of the business school choices that I had in my shortlist made sense, right? And how you could help me out with the process. And honestly, even while working with Redpen, so now we go to the application phase, right? So when we went into the application phase, again, because everything is, I mean, you can do this yourself as well, or you can go to an MBA consultant. But what the MBA consultant does for you is, like, I had a very busy lifestyle. Like being an entrepreneur, I'm working 7 days a week. Like I don't have like a day off or something, because I have to figure things out. There are problems every single day, right? So because of the time constraints that I had, an MBA consultant like Redpen sort of like gave me a structured thing, something that I wanted, right? Like broke down every single thing in the process. Like, and you guys had like people working for essays, and there was there was someone else working for my resume. There was someone else working for the LORs. So like, you know, I had like everything, all these structure in place, and I just worked towards one of these things at a time, right? And that is just how I work. And that is how I approach the process. Hopefully that answers your question.
You made a really good point there, which is that the MBA process can be really overwhelming, and especially if you think about the end result too much or the big picture, it just becomes, But I think I appreciate what you said, which was take it one step at a time, the GMAT score, and then the school selection, and then the other components one at a time.
Right.
I wanted to ask you, why did you apply to mostly American schools? What was the logic over there?
Right. So I guess there are a couple of reasons. Like specifically American, like I did not approach it that way. What I knew was I wanted to pursue my business school from a city, right? So the schools that, as you may get into, the schools that I have received admits from are like in New York and LA, right? So these schools sort of made sense for me because like in the startup space, especially for the restaurant space, like you see the best practices in these industries being practiced in such cities, right? So I wanted to be at the center of that and learn from them and get mentors from those cities, right? Because they could really help me. They could guide me in terms of where to take my business. And eventually, if I'm growing my business, even if I'm growing my business, I would be growing them into these larger cities. And so I think developing a network in these cities or a city-based network that would really help me, right? So that was something that I was looking at. Secondly, like I was going back, coming back to school, right? So this is like my last chance to go back to school. So I wanted it to be like a 2-year program. Most European MBAs are just 1-year program. And I feel like, like I'm going to business school again for mentorship to get certain things sorted out for my startup. So with a European MBA, I feel like maybe it's just a bias that I have, but I feel like I would be so pressed for time just academically that I would not be able to focus on some of the other aspects of what I'm trying to achieve through business school. And I feel like in some of the US MBAs, I get time for networking. I get time to work on my startup on the side, right? And so it is just a combination of all of these factors that sort of led me towards choosing US MBA.
That's cool. And then where do you see yourself long term? Do you want to remain in the States, or do you want to come back to India? What are your thoughts over there?
So this is actually a little difficult question because our current business is based out in India, but some of the products that we have are actually targeted towards immigrants. And one of the reasons I'm going to business school is so I can take these products out into those markets, right? And so I do not have a specific location in mind, maybe the Middle East, Europe, America, wherever I think there is a good market or I can bring these products out. Again, under the right guidance and mentorship, I would be there, right? I see myself traveling actually, rather than being in one specific place, because I guess, growing the business, that would make a lot of sense because I don't know where exactly or how exact. I mean, I have an idea, of course, but, like taking the business international is my goal, right? And so I see myself being predominantly outside India, because I have a partner taking care of our restaurant business and all of that in India. So,
okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Let's shift gears slightly. I think I'd love to know what strategies worked for you during the application process.
Okay, so I guess when I came towards writing my essays and all of that, like preparing my application as a whole, of course, once I decided that I'm going forward with taking RedPen's help, what I wanted from RedPen was, although RedPen suggested like a list of, say, ambitious, target, and safe schools for me, I took help from RedPen only to attack the ambitious schools. And that is because I knew that if I got help there, I could reproduce it. But this is like a personal choice that you have to make, right? Like definitely go for what you think works for you. But for me, I wanted to attack the ambitious schools with RedPen's help. And also I made sure that the essays that I was attacking with these ambitious schools were exhaustive in nature. So let's say I took RedPen's help for 3 schools, right? And so I made sure that the 3 schools that I chose were exhaustive in nature in terms of the essays that I gave, so that I could reproduce them to other schools as well. Right. And then once I had that, I would also I would keep like the schools with earlier deadlines, right? I would prefer to have them with RedPen so that I get those out of the way as soon as possible, right? So with RedPen, I started working towards one school. Like in the beginning, I started working towards one school because I was trying to figure out my goals. I was trying to figure out how to approach the essay because I'm completely new to the process. And I was just trying to make complete sense out of it. And I felt that if I attack 2 or 3 schools together, then, it would just be all over the place, right? Like getting a sense of how to write the essays would help you. Like the process would become easier. Let's say you take 10 days to write an essay for the first school, you probably just take 7 or 6 days to write for the second school, right? Naturally, your time would come down. In fact, once you do your first school, I think you can start working on schools parallelly. Like that's complete, because now we have made sense of the entire process. So this was how I worked at it. So I chose one school. I started working towards those essays because most schools have a goals essay, and that sort of gets you the framework for a lot of your other essays, or a lot of the material that you would need to use for the other essays. And the thought process that goes into it would also be helpful, right? Even if you don't directly use it for the essays. So I attacked one school in the beginning, and then I started working parallelly. I wouldn't have liked to do it, but I guess I was pressed for time because, by the time you figure things out, it can take time, right? For you to figure out your goals, to refine your goals, to refine your, what you have written, right? It takes a lot of time. So eventually, I personally had to work parallelly, and that's how I went about it. Is there anything specific that you would like to know about my application?
I was going to say, do you have any advice on how to speak to your letters or your recommenders and get a recommendation? Yeah.
Honestly, I've had really cooperative recommenders. So all I had to do, obviously you need to make some notes before you approach them. You can't just, if you just go to them and ask them to just write you a recommendation, it seems almost, that they're also very busy people, like the people who wrote recommendations, they're extremely busy. And so I had to write pointers. I had to tell them about, okay, what are some of the things that I did? What are even if you're looking at negative feedback, I could be I'm just reminding you, this is the feedback that you gave me, and this is what I did to help myself or improve myself, right? Just to keep that in mind. And so they would basically take some of those points, maybe discard some of those points. And many a times, in the case of both my recommenders, they did add a lot of value themselves, right? So it's not you don't have to worry about them not adding value. You just give them points. If they take it, they take it. If they don't, they don't, right? But you don't have to write them anything. Definitely just tell them that this is what you expect. Just have an open conversation with them. And most of the time, you would only approach people to recommend for you if you really have that connection with them, right? Most likely. So I think they will take a genuine effort to do that for you. So thankfully, I had 2 people who were willing to go the extra mile to make sure I got good recommendations. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like pick recommenders who you have a strong connection with.
Yeah, I would recommend that.
I think, as you said, maybe just remind them of the feedback they've given you, because you're right. Yes. We all manage, so many people, the people who are coming, it's difficult to remember. So it's good to just those prompts. And you're right that the because you've picked recommenders who are very fond of you and already like tend to go add a ton of value, you know, afterwards. So good advice there. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think two more questions.
Mhm.
How do you feel like the red pen helped you during the process? You know?
So I already sort of touched into this point throughout my answers. So what I was mainly looking for from an MBA consultant was like two things, right? One was to give me like an entire structure of the process so that I do not miss something, right? Like I don't go do my application in between. I'm like, oh my God, I did not complete this, right? So I wanted to make sure that I was having the help or aid of someone who knew the entire process for each and every school, and they would just tell me what to do, right? And I had all the materials ready when I needed them. It's not like on deadline day I find out something that I've missed, and then I'm like running just to get that thing done to probably give a subpar application, right? That's not what I wanted. So the first thing that I was looking for from an MBA consultant was professionalism, if you want to put it that way, right? Like, so Red Pen, for example, you guys have this third-party software called CLFO, and everything is so much more structured in it, right? Like if somebody makes an update, I get to see it. If I make an update, you guys get to see it. And like the entire team is always updated, and if something or the other is not up to the mark, or is if somebody notices, and because there are multiple people working on your team, I guess even if a single person forgets about something, or just if something does not cross someone's mind, there is always someone else to sort of pick that up, right? So I think working with a team like Red Pen sort of helps that way. And also the second thing, how Red Pen helped me, or second thing that I was looking for, was obviously quality applications. And I saw like a lot of reviews, and I also had a friend who consulted with Red Pen before. And so I knew that the quality of your applications are top notch. And I think one of the reasons for that is because you don't have just, again, it comes back to my old point, right? It's like, although I have a lead consultant who works with my applications, who helps me write my essays, once those essays are done, you take it for a higher level review, where somebody who does not know anything about me, who does not know anything about my background, my application, my essays, they read it. So they read it with a completely fresh perspective. So you have like completely thrown out all the biases out of the window. And I think that really like sort of sets you guys apart from, say, the other MBA applicants that's out there, right? Like, and that sort of helps like you produce quality applications, because many times what happens is, or what I've heard is, MBA consultants work on essays and they get conditioned to what they're reading, right? And naturally they just assume that it is good, and even if it is not. So to give you an example, in the first school that I applied for, we had actually drafted an essay. We did some 6 or 7 iterations, and then it went for a higher level review, and the entire thing was scrapped out, right? Because there was like one specific point that was not addressed in the essay, and to bring that point, the entire essay had to be redone, right? But I think like the reason that was not seen was because the lead consultant who was working with me had just been conditioned to my way of writing and the information that I had given, right? So someone with a fresh perspective really helped the process. And then I went to do another 10 iterations, right? And so another, I think, a great thing about Red Pen is you guys are not, you guys don't skimp on quality. Like what I mean is, it's like, okay, he's done 7 iterations or 8 iterations. Okay, he's done enough. Let's just go forward with this. No, you don't do that, right? Like you want the absolute best. So I think that is something that I really appreciated from Red Pen. Like even when I went to the second or third school, you guys, I felt like did not like stop, right? Just because I've done one school, I had 10 or more than 10 iterations, you guys did not, you were not willing to sacrifice on the quality of the application that went for the second or the third school. And I really appreciated that from Red Pen. Yeah.
Gosh, Rohit, that was phenomenal. Thank you on behalf of the team.
Thank you.
The team is going to be so happy to back, One last question. Do you have any words for future applicants, like any advice for them?
Okay, what I would say is, do not be stressed. Just stay relaxed, but that isn't to say that you should just not give a damn at all. Like you should think about the process, because it is a daunting process. There is a lot of things that you need to attack. right? Go one step at a time, because that is what worked for me. Like if there's a, like if you want to start thinking about your goals, and if you're still early in your application process, what I would suggest is just talk to different MBA consultants. Redpen, for example, just talk to them, try to throw ideas at them, and they will tell you about what they think makes sense, right? Obviously, you will only get a much bigger clarity as you go deeper into the process, but you will get a very uber level idea of what you need to, or which direction you might be able to go in, right? And so you can, like, at the back of your mind, maybe you can start thinking about your goals, even though you're not like deep into your application process. This is only if you have started the process very early. If you're late into the process, definitely like just listen to what Redpen is doing, because they have a lot of experience in the field, right? So just trust them. And ultimately, I think effort matters, right? Regardless of GMAT exam, regardless of the application that you're putting forward, like nothing is, I wouldn't say, I personally didn't find any of this really easy. Like I had to put a lot of thought. I had to put a lot of, like I mentioned, I had to do a lot of iterations in my essays, right, to get the right thing out. So be willing to, like, don't feel disheartened during the process. Just keep the deadline in mind and just work towards it, right? And go one step at a time. Yeah, that's something that I would say.
Yeah, personally, when I work with applicants, I find that the applicants who are willing to work hard and who take feedback well are the ones who, it's not just about getting an offer from a business school, it's also about, like, I think, the spiritual and intellectual journey they go through during the process.
Yeah.
You know? And I think you could sort of, I think the MBA, I don't know if this is a theory, I think they purposely put applicants through this process to see, like, are they able to introspect and are they able to really, like, come out like as a better human being after this process and prioritize their time and ask the right questions and focus on the right points, you know? So, which of course, clearly you were able to do. So
yeah, like you might already be stressed from work, and then here you come back and your consultant is saying, you know, this essay is just not good enough. You have to redo it. And so it's like stress piling upon stress, right? So I think you just need to, like, take a step back and just try to be relaxed. Like, it's an active process. Like, people think it's just part of nature, but I personally think it's an active thing that you have to do, like, to relax and just breathe and, you know, go at it step by step. Yeah.
all right, Rohit, I want to thank you so much for your time, and I want to wish you the best of luck. And I can always encourage you to come back to us if you need help with readjusting or, you know, like questions on what to do with your time between now and the time that you start. We'll help you out. And
I will be reaching out to you guys. I mean,
thank you so much, Rohit.
Thank you. I hope you guys keep helping out future applicants the way you did for me. Yeah.